I fired a few shots over their head and said, right, get moving. I quickly got them moving.
Yeah.
Over the year came D Squadron. Your advance will be to Rome. So we went out onto the main road. The road was jammed up. So I thought to myself, well, we didn't have any, well, we had maps, but they were very vague. They weren't like our British Ordnance maps.
Okay.
They were just little, like spider's webs.
Right.
Anyway, I was commanding a scout car, and I had a young officer with me, straight out of Sandhurst. He didn't know the first thing about anything, and he was learning. So he said to me, right, you're in charge, you're the captain of the car, Max. I said, yes. I said, right, we're going to make our way to Rome. And he said, well, if we get to Rome, I know my way around Rome because I've had so many holidays in Rome. And he said, I know Rome like the back of my hand.
Wow.
So he said, when we get there, we'll know where to go. So anyway,
It's convenient.
I relied on his knowledge of Rome, and I took little back lanes and went through many little villages, all of which are listed in my history, and town, and lots of prisoners. Germans were coming out of these villages in droves, dropping their rifles and pistols and guns on the floor and walking down towards the advance of the British. And some of them were sitting on the pavements and in the roads, and they didn't want to move. I fired a few shots over their head and said, right, get moving. I quickly got them moving.
Yeah.
And the squadron leader, Major, and the rest of the squadron were sort of laying back, waiting for information, which I was feeding back all the time over the air. I said, well, I'm now in this little village, and I'm now in that little village, and I've sent to the rear dozens of German prisoners, and they've thrown a lot of their weapons on the floor, and they're moving back towards you. They, in the meantime, had set up a big compound to put them into. Anyway, we got to within the outskirts of Rome, and this young lad, he was only a young one-pipper, who hadn't any armour training at all, or hardly any army training, let alone armour training. He said to me, right, we're on the east side of Rome. I know where we are. Take this road, take that road. And we ended up in the Colosseum.